Well, it's the season to be jolly. Yes, it's Christmas time, and so we decided to take you out on a gastronomical journey with a very special guest who started out his journey by being a food producer on Masterchef Season 4 to now becoming one of India's biggest content creators in the food space. And today he's invited us in his food lab and also promised us to make something very special for us for the Christmas. We are in conversation with Sanjyot Keer, who's the founder of Your Food Lab. Sanjyot, welcome to ET Now Hangouts.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much to be here in my kitchen.
It's a pleasure, a pleasure is ours. And what are you making for us today, bud?
Today we are going to do red velvet cupcakes. It's one of my wife's favorite recipes, or Christmas hai, so for Christmas I think it's a full recipe to bake at home.
Right. But Sanjyot, we are a show for the young and the restless, and you have been an inspiration. You're a millennial, and we talk to the millennials, we talk to the Gen Z. So let's first get started with the interview, and we'll also cook something very special. You started out by being a food producer for MasterChef Season 4. But you are, by profession, you are a chef. So tell us your journey from being a food producer to now being this massive content creator. How has the journey been?
The journey actually starts with when I started to cook as a kid, and cooking has always been a passion.
Yeah.
And whenever I cooked for someone, that kind of feeling what I used to have is something which has been unparalleled to anything else I've done in my life. And that is one big reason that I always wanted to cook, whatever the platform may be, whatever the environment may be. And whatever I have taken up has been done with that passion of cooking. Working on the sets of MasterChef was a great learning experience. This was back in 2014.
Yeah.
Worked with legends like Chef Vikas Khanna, Sanjeev Kapoor and Ranveer Brad. It was a great experience. And from there on in 2016, I started creating content. And the whole idea, my mission to create content was to make food more accessible to people, make it easier for people to cook at home. And for people who are, I feel cannot go out and explore, cannot travel, or maybe a few people who are unfortunate that they cannot dine in fine dine restaurants for certain reasons, they could be able to cook better at home with very simple ingredients. And that is what Your Food Lab started to do. And while I have shared more than 3,000 recipes till date, that's translated into building a community of food lovers who cook amazing food at home just watching videos on the internet.
Right. But Sanjyot, you have also made some very unconventional choices. We'll talk about all of them. But to begin with, you also had home science as a subject, which is a very unconventional choice to make even for a girl in today's time. You being a guy, how did you break through those stereotypes? Was there any opposition from your parents, from people around you that time?
See, I feel unconventional choices is something what is defined by the society.
Right.
But choices are for you to make, right?
Absolutely.
And as soon as I started cooking when I was in school, my parents luckily were, I was blessed that they were very supportive. They always, supported in what I wanted to do. And when in my 9th grade, I was given an option to choose between certain subjects as an optional subject. From technical drawing and physical education and commerce, I went on to choose home science because cooking was a part of it.
Okay.
And you could actually cook in school. So that was the reason. And I was one of the only 2 boys in my whole section who had chosen home science. Okay. And the rest of the other students were girls. Surely there were a few things by my friends where they said कि यार ये वाले subject तो लड़कियाँ ही choose करती हैं. But I've always felt that when it comes to cooking, you cannot get a gender biasness into it. I feel cooking can be done by everyone. Cooking is an art, and it has to be looked at it from a broader perspective. And I feel in today's day, there are so many female chefs, when you brought that up, who are doing great. Chef Garima Arora, she's the first Michelin-starred chef from India.
Right.
And so many more. And I feel that, it's just getting better.
Right, Sanjyot. But before we get on with all your unconventional choices, let's just start cooking also. Because before this show ends, you have to make us red velvet cakes. That's what you've promised us. So let's get started.
Yeah, it's a super simple recipe. We'll be cooking and we'll chat along.
All right.
Okay, so first I'm going to make the batter, for which I'm going to cream some butter, sugar and vanilla together. So while doing that, we can talk. Yeah, we can talk. Yeah.
Right. So Sanjyot, Sanjyot, speaking of unconventional choices, you were a chef and you started out with Masterchef, and then you started creating your own content. Why not go take the conventional route of working in a restaurant or a hotel, or even start out your own cafe? Why create content? Because when you started out, I don't think Facebook was offering any monetization tools also when you started out, right? So what value did you see there?
So firstly, I did work with restaurants. I did my training, and after which I worked with restaurants for 3 years.
Okay.
Even while I was studying,
Yeah.
after college, I used to go to multiple restaurants to,
Yeah.
explore and work.
Yeah.
So that was always there on the chart. My family was going through a rough patch at that time. So I had to kind of give up my professional cooking for a while and join my father to work with him and to support my family. That is when I started to think, how do I get back to cooking again?
Right.
And that's when I started taking offs on Saturdays and Sundays while working with my father. And initially the plan was to start writing a blog.
Okay.
And because blogs were a big thing back then in 2016. But then I realized that, it was not something that I was very comfortable doing. So one fine day I just tried out shooting a video. It turned out to be really good. I showed it to my parents that this is something I want to do. And I started shooting on weekends without a thought that, how would I make money from it, or where would I upload this? I saw that there was a big shift in content through digital and internet being accessible. In 2016, everybody had a smartphone, but it was not being used by food content creators or production houses, that the content needed to have like a shift. So I started creating very snackable 1-minute videos. The idea was to upload one new recipe every single day. I went on to create daily content for 3 years. So one recipe video every single day at 6:30 p.m. used to be uploaded on your food lab for 3 years straight. Answering your second part, that there was no monetization on Facebook back then. Yes, there wasn't, but the initial thought was, just to share what I do in my kitchen with people. But
this is more like a side gig for you, but in keeping with who you actually are, because you were also helping your father out, and then.
Yeah, for a lot of people who look at it from the outside, yes, maybe it looked like a sidekick for me, but this was my passion, right? And that is why how it translated into your food lab now becoming a very big community. But I realized that, if I'm able to build a community, if I'm able to get people to watch my content, there would be multiple avenues to build businesses out of it. So I was not thinking that maybe Facebook will pay me one day, but maybe I'll build a couple of businesses through my audience and my community that could be monetized. So that's the whole plan.
Yeah. So we will talk about that. But, speaking of monetization, how long before you actually started monetizing your content? I mean, if you're comfortable sharing, like how much was Facebook paying at that time to, how have things changed? Of course, they've changed drastically, but back in the day, there were no monetization tools available to you. So how long before that started?
So I think Facebook started monetization after 2.5 years of my content creation. But way before that, I think 6 or 7 months down the line when I was creating content, that's when I started getting approached by a lot of brands to do branded content, right? Because they saw that opportunity where there were so many people watching my content. I used to do like about 100 million views a month back then, which was big, huge numbers, which could be actually seen. And I worked with a very leading FMCG brand in India back then, and did a few videos for them as my first branded collaboration with a brand back in 2016. Today we talk about it as a very regular, normal thing. But back then it was for a lot
deal.
of for a lot of people it was like kind of they could not digest that someone could have paid you for posting a video on the internet. But that did happen. I went on to work a lot with that particular company because they loved the results of it. And then there were many other brands to follow. So the first monetization took place while working with brands. And I started also producing content for a lot of brands because our production quality was great. And then Facebook started their monetization. I think it was late 2018 when they started monetization.
So, I mean, it's amazing that you had the vision at that point when, internet, where digital content creation hadn't even picked up, let alone the monetization, that, I'll start building this by creating content and then I'll explore other avenues. So, basically, you were building your own brand,
Right.
and then probably monetize it through different avenues. Did you have that vision? Like, this could really go on and become big?
Yeah, that vision was always there. Not when I shot my first video, not even while I was creating that library, but when I uploaded this on Facebook and when people interacted with the content in a beautiful way. And I saw, like, in the initial bits where I started getting messages from around the world, where people told me that, we cook your recipes and they turn out to be really good. And I was seeing that there's a very good community being built. And that is when I realized that, yes, if you are able to build a community, then there are multiple avenues where you can monetize your content. And also with your food lab, right? The whole idea to build a brand was there in the first place. That is why I named my channel Your Food Lab. Otherwise, I could have done it with my personal name.
No, but that's very smart, and that's having a lot of foresight, that building a brand and starting it with Your Food Lab so that you can explore different avenues. Weren't you approached by food channels to be a celebrity chef to start a cookery show? Were you never tempted to do that?
I was in the initial bits. In fact, I had got a few offers to kind of license out my content to other companies where they wanted to acquire Your Food Lab and run it as a channel through their medium and platforms. But the whole point of creating content on the internet is to have freedom to what do you want to create, right? Because here there are no multiple entities involved. There's no production team. There's no channel. There's no brand. It's everything is being done by you, right? And you create your own team. You find like-minded people to work with you, and then you can build and curate content in the way you want to do it. And that is where I saw a lot of value, where I could create content as per my vision. And that translated really well with people. And that I wanted to keep doing it. And for the past almost 8 years now, we have been, creating content. And we have seen like major growth in aspect of numbers especially. But more importantly, we have seen growth in how we create content.
It is absolutely. Should we start?
Yes, because I know I'm talking about good food, and we need to
make the good food and start eating it also.
So I'm going to mix and cream the butter and sugar together, and then we add in the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients, and the batter will be made. It's a super simple recipe. So the creaming is being done right now. So when
this is also part of when you started out, you wanted to make food very accessible to people, right? Like people who cannot go out or probably don't have the means, you make food that can be easily made in the kitchen, and that probably resonated with the audience.
Yes, it did, because before that I have always seen my mother watching like television, and she used to watch a lot of food shows, and I used to see and look at her writing down recipes in a diary. I have a few diaries of hers still lying with me.
That's all our mothers.
Yeah, that's all our mothers. And I used to be so, kind of overwhelmed by seeing how, people are so much into cooking.
Yeah.
And while it was my passion as well, I used to always feel that how can I, create an experience which is maybe better or which is maybe more fun.
Right.
And I used to always realize that cooking shows prior to digital content was always about, food was like in the back end, where it was always the person who was cooking, and it was always how the theatrics are.
Chef who's
So I wanted to change that. I wanted to, make food the hero of food content, where food is the first and foremost thing, and everything lies around it. Right. And that has happened with Your Food Lab. When we did that, we set a benchmark in this space where now when you go and watch content, you see food being kept as the main hero, and everything just follows after that.
Right. So Sanjyot, what do you think is really the future of not just content creation but food content creation? Do you think the future is on digital, or do you think that we have seen growing up, we've seen those cookery shows that your mom and my mom used to watch. Compared to that, what is the future of food blogging or content creation online?
Content is a growing space right now.
Yeah.
It's still in the very early stages. A lot of people think that with content we have seen everything, but it's not that. There's a lot more in store for people to do and for people to watch. I feel everybody has their own journey.
Right.
Like for me, it started off with short format content 8 years back, and now we are today seeing reels being made.
Yeah.
Then I forayed into making longer format videos where I wanted people to actually follow the recipe and cook at home.
Yeah.
And now maybe for the future, I cannot speak about others, but for myself, it is the next leg is going to be about exploring regional parts of India.
Okay.
And
you mean regional cooking, regional cuisine?
Yes. Okay. And explore regional cuisine and explore that and then put it on the map is what I feel is the next leg of content creation for me.
Interesting. So you started out with short form content, now you're also doing long format content. I asked this to a lot of influencers who've been on our show because we're a show for the young and the restless. So somebody who's aspiring to be a content creator.
Right.
Where is the value? Is it in short format content or long format content? A lot of people are really saying that we have a lot of demand on YouTube, but the supply is very little because Instagram now is so cluttered that nobody is watching YouTube, but that's where the true value is. What do you have to say about that?
It completely depends on what kind of content you're building, right?
Okay.
Like for food especially, I feel, though I started from short format, I feel if someone wants to really cook, you need to watch like how a proper recipe is being made, right? So for that, long format is better.
Okay.
But for someone who already knows to cook, like if someone like my father or mother are watching, they both know to cook. And if they see like a short format 1 minute food video where they get to see an idea or they get to see how things are done, they already know the rest of the things, right? They know their basics, they know it very clearly. So they can still follow it. So what I try to do is whenever I want to do a technical recipe and I want to share each and every detail, I do my long format videos on YouTube. Wherever I want to give an idea, I know there's a very short recipe, it's very interesting, very fun to watch, I'll do that on Instagram or on Shorts as a short format content piece. I feel that short format gives you an audience very quickly. It's easier to grow there. So for content creators who are starting to build their content right now today, if they decided, okay, I want to become a content creator, you use your short format platforms to gain that audience very quickly. And then use it as a funnel to build your long format audience.
Interesting.
Because your longer format audience is going to be very loyal. It's going to be a well tight-knit community because because they're going to search and come to your video and then they are actually investing time to watch that complete video. While on short format, they are basically scrolling and exploring through content, and you might end up on someone's feed. So that's a good way to be explored.
Right.
And then you also build your community from your long format videos. You need to do both because both have different monetization opportunities. While with short form, there are brands who want to work a lot with you on short form because brands also know that right now. But then there are great monetizing opportunities on long format as well. So I feel you have to concentrate on both, use it in a very wise way.
Right. So should we get back to our red velvet cake?
Yeah, so while we were talking, I have like already mixed all the wet ingredients. So that is done. Now we need to sift in the dry ingredients, right? So we'll do that. I'm going to grab a sift and here goes in the dry ingredients.
That's the maida.
Yeah, that's the maida. And it's going into the butter, condensed milk and milk mixture, and we have some sugar in it.
Okay.
That's gone, and we just need to mix this. And then finally, where does the red color come from?
Where does the red color come from?
So we'll do another small quick mixture with some red color and some cocoa powder, some curd. So we're using curd and some baking powder over here to give the cake a rise. So that will be the leavening agent. So this just gets mixed and then those things go in and then the batter will be ready. And then we'll bake it and then we'll frost it with some cream cheese frosting.
Amazing. So basically we are doing this because it's Christmas time, so it goes with Christmas. But you make content very regularly, right? how do you decide, what is your creative process when you decide, oh, this is what I'm going to put out today? Is it that the audience gives you a feedback, or is it something that you decide on your own? Is there a process that is in place? What's your creative process?
Basically is, it starts with what I'm feeling to cook, right?
Okay.
It starts with that मेरा क्या मन हो रहा है खाना बनाने का.
अच्छा.
So it starts from there, and then it goes on to multiple things, right? So how do I look at it? So on my notes, and I have basically built a calendar where we look at seasonality of ingredients. We see the weather, how the weather is, and then we see festivities in India, because India is a country of a lot of festivals. And all of these aspects come together. So like in the month of December, it's getting cold, and I'll do soups, I'll do a sizzler, I'll do like very warm, soothing recipes. I'll cook with maybe red carrots, peas, methi, all of these ingredients because they are in season. So we choose those ingredients, then with those ingredients we think about what can be made and what would someone like to have during that period of the year, and so on and so forth.
Right, that's interesting. So now what's the next step?
Yeah, so now what we do is we basically mix these ingredients into a bowl. So I'm just going to take a bowl, I'll just put this away, and I'll also put this away, and then we take this. So the curd, baking powder, the cocoa powder, we have some vinegar to activate our baking powder.
And that's the red color.
And that's the red color which goes into it. You can use organic food color. You get a lot of organic food colors today. So this one's extracted from, paprika and beets. So you get those ingredients right now, so you can use those. And you just mix this up. And we'll add this. And we'll add this to the batter. And then our batter is ready.
Wow. And then it goes into the oven.
Wow. So we added this. And now we'll just fold in this mixture into the batter. And just look at that.
Wow.
Just scoop out the batter and just that. You just need to do this.
Color.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. And when it'll bake, it'll just get a little darker. And these turn out to be delicious. And also this is an eggless recipe, so it suits all. So,
it suits all,
anybody can make it. So this is gone inside.
Alright.
And now we basically take this tray and we put it in a preheated oven at 165 degrees.
Alright.
Kia, movement that inspires.
We'll see the cupcakes now. Sanjyot, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show, but we won't let you go just like that. We are also going to play a rapid fire round with you. All right. So between you and your wife, who's a better cook or who cooks at home?
I cook at home. I am a better cook, obviously.
Yes.
But my wife is a chartered accountant,
Okay.
and she loves to eat. So that's the reason we are together.
Okay, and you are the cook and she's the one who eats.
Yes.
Okay, so if not a chef, what would you be?
I can never answer that question because I've got opportunities in my life situations in my life where I have been taken out of cooking, but I have like smuggled my way into it. Like I sneaked myself into cooking back again. So I feel that if not today, maybe 10 years later, but I would be doing this. I would have hung around and did something in the food space itself.
So content creator or chef?
Cook food for people is what I would say. Gives me more happiness.
Okay, chole bhature or pizza?
Chole bhature any day.
You like desi cooking, right?
Yes, I love.
Your signature dish?
My signature dish, I would say a black mutton from Maharashtra. It's called Kala mutton.
A way to a man's heart is through his stomach. True or false?
Absolutely true. And I think it's the opposite way also. A
Way to a woman's heart
is also through the stomach because that's how I met my wife and we started dating. I cooked like a whole 9-course meal for her.
Wow.
And
and now she's your wife.
Yeah, and now she's my wife. And
all right, Sanjyot, it was a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the